Alright, there we go. We have audio. Yay! For whatever reason, XSplit was running, and... Whoa, lots of background. There we go. Anyway, XSplit was running, and basically I had disabled my microphone from having people over the other night, and so it didn't re-enable it on XSplit. I had to exit and restart XSplit, and so I had to stop the stream for a second there as I reset the program. But anyway, we are back for another afternoon live show, and click, 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 click. Yep. Anyway, so we're back for another live show. I'm going to turn this down a little bit, and yeah, so I'm glad to see some people showed up for the live show. Great to see that you guys are here. Unlike the Wednesday night at 9 p.m. live show, this one is more just Q&A, answering questions both live and ones that are from across all the videos that I've posted the last week. Any ones that people have asked and basically want answers for. And I got a few messages as well that I'm going to go over, because I got a couple emails asking questions. So that's another option if you're ever curious about something. I recommend leave a comment on the videos, because I read every one of your comments whenever they go up, and so I don't respond to very many of them until the live show. Sometimes I will. If there's like a rules issue, I'll make a comment response right there, but for the most part I just won't. So here we go. I've got a few of these up already. So the first video here, let me go, I'm going to do these in order. So the last one was on the 16th, was the last live show, which was the previous Q&A. Now since then, I've done the my showcase where I showed off my army. There was another live show on the Wednesday, and then we also had a War Machine battle report, a random gaming night, and then another War Machine battle report. So if you haven't seen those and you want to see those, you can see them. They're in a playlist actually for the War Machine battle reports, and I believe there's one for the live shows as well, so you can just click over there and take a look. So the first thing, the showcase. So there's just a few comments on there. Daniel S., he was commenting on how I had said that the Reckoner is below average. What I had really said is that all Menoth Jacks are below average as far as their stats are concerned, until you give them the Choir, which puts them above average. Now he was immediately calling out that he would change all of his Khador battle groups to Reckoners even without the Choir. In my opinion, Protectorate Warjacks that see play are the best Warjacks in the game. With the Choir, the margin gets even bigger. Yes, there may be a couple of character jacks in other factions that are on par or better, but those are the exception. My experience with Protectorate is that you pay for your awesome jacks, support, and infantry with quite squishy casters. Most of them need to hide behind other models and terrain and or camp more focused than other factions casters do in order to survive. On the other hand, they usually want to spend their focus and make all their jacks and units even more awesome. I got Harvey and Sevi killed more than once when I didn't camp enough. While Harvey and Severius are two of the squishiest casters I would argue in the game, having only basically 14/14 stats without any focus allocated to them, which they make up for by having both special rules as well as a large focus pool. So, I agree. Those guys are going to get killed. Now, I can tell you, I recently picked up, if you've got Facebook and you're in the Facebook page, I've started a little bit of a Signar army. And to give you an idea why I say that Protector's Jacks are not as good as other Jacks, the Signar Defender, he's got a POW 15 gun and a POW 16 melee weapon. He's speed 5, as opposed to ours is speed 4. So he's got a stronger gun base, which ties it up at battle. We get up to him in battle. He's a little bit weaker in melee, and he doesn't have reach, but he's faster. He's got a higher mat, a higher rat, and slightly lower armor than a Reckoner. and they are the same points cost. His gun is longer range, and that's basically the way it works. Yeah, there is a big delay, but that's just the way it is with YouTube as I look here. But yeah, basically the power behind a defender is better than a reckoner until the reckoner gets the choir. And that is just the way it is for a same point jack. It's true, Khador have crappier jacks, but Khador have, in my opinion, the worst jacks of the group. With Crix having very maneuverable and fast arc nodes and very powerful character jacks, and Signar having generally powerful warjacks, Retribution having a lot of special abilities on their warjacks, Menoth basically has just regular jacks at... They take the halfway point between Khador and Signar, but we have the choir that make ours better. We don't have the armor of Khador, but we have the abilities of Signar. And that's basically the way I look at it. If you get rid of the choir, they go below on pretty much every grounds. Anyway, to move on from his comment there, the next one was the High Reclaimer is really good with smoke walls. You can shut down armies, and the flags on the Knight's Exemplar is more just to tell them apart quickly for when I'm playing in tournaments. Stephen Corey asks, what is a good Khador list? A good, simple Khador list to start off with would be E-Sorsha with a bunch of Winter Guard, a Beast 09, and then different solos to support them. And that's basically all you need. They'll go off and do their job. A good list against Khador would... It could be anything. It depends on what the Khador's bringing. If he's bringing Butcher, don't bring heavies. If he's bringing Old Witch, you're going to need bigger stuff. If he's it's all across the board what you're going to need against him. Or against a faction in general. Moving on, we've got the War Machine battle report between Dave and I, Dave Potts. Chris comments that Dave's rolls were pretty damn good the whole way through. He rolls pretty consistently all the time. Until he rolls badly, and then he always rolls badly. That's basically the way it works. There's no middle ground for him. One of God's people, what kind of blasphemous talk is that? We get plenty of racks, you know. I repeat after my 1 point for the glory of Menoth 10 times. Love how you play Trolls, Dave. Inspire me to pick up Trolls as my second army. Do it. Trolls are awesome. No, they're not. Don't ever play Trolls. Go play Scorn. They're like Trolls, only not horrible. It'd be nice to see both sides move. Soon, I would like to be able to do that. I know I've been videotaping it where there's only the one half. Like, I don't record my own movement. One, it's because it makes it a lot easier to film. And two, it's because I need a better camera. Unfortunately, I can't get a better camera yet. So, you're just going to have to wait until the future when I can afford to get a new one. It was brought up that I should do some kind of Kickstarter to get all of my equipment so I'd have a better microphone and a better camera, but I really don't want to ask people for money, so I probably won't do that anywhere in the near future. I have no Hordes or War Machine, never played anything but 40k, but I have to say it looks interesting. I was looking at Horde's website, and minions look pretty cool. How do they rank compared to the other races, and can we see some in action? There is no good race, nor even a flavor in the month in Warm Hordes. Check out, and he has a link for the description of the factions. I came from 40k myself. Sure, you'll like it. Yeah, if you play 40k, generally, I've never seen a person from 40k dislike War Machine. It's different. I guess the only thing you'll really dislike is that it's smaller scale, but if you don't mind about that, then there you go. There is a good race. There are flavors of the month. Some of them do get more and less powerful. Like, for example, the current flavor of the month is Retribution. They won one of the big Masters tournament, and they've gotten a number of new releases that has pushed their faction into being better. When they got the Thane, he made the Riflemen and the Halberdiers good and got rid of their problems with stealth. They got 3 Iris, who became a good unit attachment for the Mage Hunter Infiltrators and Strike Force, being able to wipe out even more stuff faster and do more damage. They've got a new caster, who's a very good control caster, and they have a heavy warjack coming out that is arguably one of the most powerful heavy warjacks since the creation. I mean, the Imperatus is going to be amazing. Alright, that's basically how I feel about that. Minions, though, are arguably one of the worst factions. Gatormen are not terrible and can be played pretty well, Pharaoh, not so much. The reason they suffer is because neither of them are a full-fledged faction. They're basically attachments to the other factions. Unlike mercenaries, who have had more time to get fleshed out and can be played as a true faction with their different groups, the Pharaoh and the Bilgewater are unfortunately just not there. They've got cool effects and they've got cool guys, but they're just not enough to be a faction in and of themselves. I've had the pleasure of meeting Dave recently. Funny and nice dude. Also, trolls. Yep, Dave's awesome. Escort is +2 move during activation. You are correct. Dave, it was a fun game. Oh, and you need to stop building for continuous fire since I always bring the stone plus the UA. Watch next time I won't bring it. Looking forward to our next match. It'll be great, and I've had a request to play Krios' tier, so be prepared. Great looking models and smart commentary. Can't wait to see more. I can't wait to make more. Does the book have burn burn written on one of the pages, or am I seeing things? It may possibly have things written on that book because it's a book. Play both armies. It should be fun and informative. What was fun? Informative? Don't bring continuous fire against trolls. They shut you down. I got those dice from Dice Man board game. My mother-in-law got it for me at a garage sale. I've been using them since I started playing, and believe me, they are average over time. Calandra can make my dice look better. Rerolling the occasional bad roll can really skew my dice performance. And just rolling flat 10s and 11s does usually help as well. Said Dave. Oh, and curse all you want. I don't care. Oh, and cursed. When did I curse? I'm confused. Anyway. And then, of course, the battle report that just went up the other day, which was between Tim and I. And I messed up with the camera at the end there, where I didn't stop recording. I don't even know what happened. You should consider using a small tripod. You could have the camera recording your turns, getting a couple of complete enemy turn with the movement and rolling, and a short recap of your turn seems very lopsided. I agree. I would like to do that, and I have a little tripod right here that I could put the camera on, but unfortunately the space on my camera is not enough, really, which is the downside problem. So I need a new memory card, but unfortunately I just can't get one at the moment. And then I will probably do some battle reports like that. Zach, your opponent doesn't sound like he's enjoying playing the actual game at all. Well, Tim was in a big rush, was basically the issue. So we were trying to play quickly because he had somewhere to go. There we go. Let me scroll up here and see if I missed a couple of comments here. Can you tell me how to set up a good Wood Elf army? Oh, good Wood Elves. Don't be ridiculous. But if you really want to do it, the army that I like for Wood Elves is a Tree Man army. You've got a level 4 Life Mage, and a level 2 or 4 Beast Mage, and then a few generals wandering around, and then you predominantly run 2 Tree Men, a bunch of Dryads, and then as many Trents as you can. Or Treekin, rather. That's what they're called. Treekin, I find, are amazing combined with Life Lore, because you're going to give them higher toughness, as well as the ability to bring wounds back every time you cast a spell, and having regrowth to bring back more as they die. Just double whammies, triple whammies, making that unit incredibly durable with an already high toughness, high strength, ward save, multiple wounds. If not for the fact that they're so expensive in dollars and points, I would recommend it. But, yeah, that's what I would do. I play 40k. This is another language for me. Yep. War Machine is a different language. Yep, same here, but I play fantasy. Yeah, fantasy. Not going to understand this either. That said, I do recommend to play War Machine. If you play either of those games, it's not hard to get into, and it's really easy to pick up the starter kit, and you can try with just a friend of yours for relatively cheap. And unlike the 40k and fantasy starter kits, they're both balanced and enough to actually play a game, which unfortunately GW just does not want anyone to start playing if they haven't already been playing, or they want to make the barrier of entry gigantic. You know what we should do? We should release a starter kit where the armies are not balanced and do not include everything you would need to play a normal size game, as well as just being badly skewed. But anyway, that's just GW. have you ever thought about getting into Infinity at all? I have thought about getting into Infinity. I like the models, and it does seem kind of neat. But all in all, I find I just don't. I don't have the drive. I don't know. I haven't gotten into it. I could get into it, but one, I don't have any opponents, which I know is a terrible excuse because I could easily find players. That's what you do if you're like, I want to learn a game. You go out, you find people, you get your friends to play, you do something about it, and you can get someone to play. Even if it comes down to, and you just want to play it, and you're willing, especially in a game like Infinity where there's not a very high high model count, so you can pick up a few pretty cheap. You could buy them and then just play with your friends and be like, here's these models, learn how to play. Owen, can you tell me how stand and shoot work for the Skaven Warp Thrower works? I can't. I don't know how it works offhand because I don't know the Skaven book inside and out. So I apologize, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it works something like the Empire attachments, where nearby unit, it basically overwatches when the unit's attached to is charged, but don't quote me because I don't know for sure. I haven't played a Skaven guy who brings them. It just hasn't come up. Tyler, the points aren't even that bad. We Wood Elf players can afford Treekin for the points, but $65 for 3? Yeah, especially when you're going to want to bring like 2 units of 12. That's crazy expensive. Crazy. I played Fantasy again yesterday for the first time in a few months with Lizardmen. I brought a Slan and miscast with Throne of Vines up 3 times in 3 turns. So you got it up, and then you rolled that 1 to not deny the miscast? What were you casting that was causing so many miscasts? Man, Dice wanted you dead if that was the case. 6666661. 6666661. For those of you who don't play Fantasy, any double 6s to cast a spell is a miscast. With Throne of Vines, you get a 2+ to ignore it. But if you roll a 1, you suffer the miscast. Which means he was rolling lots of 6s to miscast, and then lots of 1s to suffer the effects. Hopefully the spells that you were casting were good, and you were able to get those big bombs off on your opponent. Otherwise, well, that's a double whammy of failure. Because that's what happened. Doop, doop, doop. Three dash for 1 sniper team, isn't it? 33... what? I'm confused. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't understand! Why am I so tired? I shouldn't be tired. I didn't stay up particularly late. And I slept in. Huh. Anyway, what do you think of the Forge World Horus model? I don't really care for it. I haven't cared for any of the Forge World Primarch stuff. I just find they're like, oh look, that is a Space Marine. That is 5 to 10 times the cost of a regular Space Marine. Why would I want this? It doesn't even... I don't even... Yep, that was basically how I viewed that. Oh, 33 euros for 1 Tau sniper team. Oh, I understand. Yeah, it's expensive. I mean, it's like 50 bucks for a sniper team here. So, that fits. And I agree that GW's prices are... like, they were always expensive. And I understand that. But it's just excessive now. It gets to the point where I have no interest in starting a new army. And even expanding on the armies I already own. Because... it's just so much money invested in buying these models. Like, I already have a crazy amount of miniatures from all kinds of different games. And you're looking at... okay, so let's start off from the beginning. So you're going to play... I'm going to play a game... I'm going to play a cheap faction. I'm going to play regular Space Marines. So, I'm going to buy the starter... I'm going to buy the Battle Force. $150. Whoa, that's expensive. And that gives me some troops and a little bit of a starting army. But I'm going to need another troop unit, because regular troop units are to capture. That's another $60 for another unit of Space Marines. Alright, That was pretty expensive. So I'm at over $200. Now I'm going to want another transport for my other unit of Space Marines. So that's another $50 for a Rhino or a Razorback. Alright, that's pretty expensive. So we're at like $260. And now I'm going to buy a Terminator unit because I want something to really be elite and beat them up. So now I've got an elite, and I've got some troops, and I've got an HQ. Oh wait, no, do HQs come in the Battle Force? I don't think they do, so that's another $20. So we're at about $340 for the Terminators and HQ to be added in. And of course we need a transport for them, and I want a heavy support because they don't have one yet. So I'm going to get a Land Raider for another 100. So about, oh, and I need my Codex for $60. So $500 to get me the Battle Force, an extra troop unit, an extra HQ, a transport, and an elite. That's insanity. Like, I don't even think that's 1,500 points. And if it is, you're going to have to like stretch the points to make it there. And what is your army? You've got 2 units in transports and 1 in a Land Raider. And that's all you have? My gosh, that is like I just can't justify it myself. So I look at War Machine, who goes, okay, here's a starter kit, and you get 20 points of an army for effectively $60. You also get 20 points of another army if you bought the 2-player one, as well as all the things you need to start the game. Then you go spend another $100, and you have 50 points, which is a tournament-sized list. And not only that, it's an actual functional list, depending on what you buy. It's true it will get more expensive as the game goes on, because you will have to buy new models to change up your army. But the barrier of entry, like the cost of entry, is so much lower, it becomes that much easier to invite people to play and to find players and to increase the player base quickly. Why are you running sniper teams? Snipers are amazing, actually, in the Tau list. With the drone controller, they're relatively high ballistic skill, and they eat up Space Marines. I don't like them, but I understand the appeal. A warp fire thrower can only stand and shoot if it is charged. Well, there you go. Goron Iron Fist, that's what he says. Someone can verify it, but he knows more than I would about it because I said I don't know at all. Yeah, it's Kion. It's pretty hard to play a game system without opponents. My gaming group is slowly getting into it, and I'm enjoying that and haven't had this much fun since the initial drop of 6. Well, 6th edition with the 4th edition Codex. Pretty hard to play a game system without opponents. Oh, I think he's talking about getting into War Machine. They are possibly the worst unit in the book. They are not the worst unit by far. The arguments for worst units are Vespid, Kroot, and Skyray. They are oh, and the Sun Shark Fighter, whatever one that is. Not the Bomber. I think the Bomber is the Sun Shark. But yeah, Vespids, Kroot, Skyray, and the Fighter are arguably Razorwing. I think that's what they're called. Those are all arguably terrible. Some people like Kroot for their own appeal, whatever. Those people are wrong, but we'll let them have their opinion. Skyrays can be funny, but they're not worth it if you're going to compete with any other heavy support choice. Vespids are awful in all regards. So, yeah, that's basically how it is. Yeah. I remember a time when battalions for fantasy were €80. P.S. My keyboard is racist, so it has no euro mark. Ha! Yeah, I remember when Land Raiders were $50. That was when I started playing. They get the job done against anything fairly well, but not too good against anything. Wait, what is he talking about? Cheap faction. Oh, Space Marines. Yeah. Why do you play Tau? What interested you about them? Originally, I played Tau because I found them most aesthetically looking. Their vehicles are very interesting looking. Their infantry are very interesting looking with a kind of samurai-esque feel to them. Battle suits are cool. I mean, who doesn't want to be in a fighter robot? I like the Forge World battlesuits more because they are far more interesting looking, but they're just GW are already crazy expensive, and then Forge World just pushes it way into the unreasonable levels. And other than that, they had a very interesting. I like the mobile play style of the previous editions. They've become less of that, I find, in the newer book because they got a hit by not being able to have fast vehicles, and so your vehicles suffer a lot moving and shooting. And it's harder to move and get out of vehicles, so you can't do the move in with the devilfish and drop a unit and just gun stuff down, and you can't have devilfishes jump in from every direction. But that was originally what got me into it. Doop, doop, doo. Anshi is worse. Yeah, Anshi is pretty terrible too. No, Vespids can be run effectively. The fighter, however, yeah, I agree. The Skyray? Are you kidding? No, I'm not kidding. Which one would you bring? You have a Skyray option. You have a... Don't, Riptides are elite. You have the Hammerhead. You have broadsides. There's probably other ones, but I don't remember them off the top of my head. The Hammerhead beats the Skyray in every ground engagement. Generally. There's actually... No, pretty much everyone. There's no thing that the Skyray can do that the Hammerhead can't do. If you want it for anti-air, bring broadsides, because they can do that. And they're just as good at it, because their guns are just as strong, only they're twin-linked and they are more reliable and don't have a weapon camp. The Skyray is just an expensive one-shot artillery piece, which makes it terrible. If you want it for the marker lights, just bring Pathfinders. They do the same thing, but they're better at it. If you want it for the rockets, just bring broadsides. They have the same strength gun, only they won't run out of ammo, and they're tougher. Yeah, there's no reason to bring it unless you. I like them. I have 2 Skyrays and I bring them, but not because I'm trying to be competitive or playing to win. I'm bringing them because they're fun, and I like that one turn when you go, you know what? Fire 12 missiles at that guy, and you shoot everything at him. That's basically how it is. Vespids are too expensive for what they do and compete with better fast attack choices. Yeah, that's basically it. They have aircraft they have to compete with, they have Pathfinders they have to compete with, and they have whatever piranhas to compete with. So there's no reason to bring them, because piranhas will do what they do but better. Pathfinders are almost a requirement. Aircraft are almost a requirement. So why would you bring them? I mean, the drones on the Sunshark bomber are better than a unit of Vespids, because they can just destroy light vehicles without any trouble, shooting them in the back, because you can fly over and drop them behind, and drop bombs as you go. Oh, and why don't you take me out on fancy restaurants anymore? I don't remember doing that in the first place, Captain. I know it can stand and shoot, but how do I resolve hits against a charging unit? Oh, we're talking about the flamethrower again. Vespids have a place. They have serious range, and the best part is, no one has any idea what you're doing. Depending on your opponent's ignorance of your codex and your units, is not a good defense, because you're going to go against someone who does know what you're doing, and you're going to get killed. Badly. What are your feelings about the new Apocalypse expansion with Tau? Will you buy it? I don't know a lot about it. Probably won't buy it, just because I don't really care for Apocalypse, and with no Apocalypticon this year, I won't even be bringing it to that. And yeah, that's basically how I view it. Yep. You have a 30-inch threat range with one-shot weapon. You know that 30-inch threat range and good at taking out Space Marine's crisis suit. They have a 30-inch range threat with a one-shot weapon. Oh, we're talking about the snipers. Yeah, no, I agree. They're good. The Skyray has the advantage of being a vehicle. I run mine the way you used to run an Ion Hit. They shoot their missiles and then zoom up and get in the way. Or you could just not do that and bring a regular Hammerhead and shoot. And being a vehicle is no longer an advantage. With being able to glance to death, they actually die faster than a unit of 2-up armor save, toughness 5 battlesuits will. Because, there you go. Try refreshing the screen, Leon. Yeah, they don't. Why would you, it's just a waste of a vehicle. It becomes less effective as the game goes on, and you basically sacrifice it. And with one of the scenarios even being killing heavy supports being a bonus point, you don't want to run it forward in that game, so you're literally bringing something to shoot 6 times and run away. That's a big point cost and a slot sacrifice when you could have brought something that will never run out of ammo and can do just as much damage over time and is just as durable as in a Hammerhead. Or bring broadsides, who are better in both regards. The delay is awesome. I agree. Yep. Uh, what do you have against Apocalypse? It's dumb. I mean, it's funny, but I'm kind of a competitive player. I do like to play to win, and I know 40k is bad at that. You already really can't do it in 40k. Apocalypse is just like a slap in the face, where it's like, yeah, you know how you have this big army? Well, why don't you bring them all in one game? Also, we made a new chart in the Apocalypse book, where it just comes down to who can survive longer, because everyone dies on the board when everyone takes strength 10 or 9 hits, or whatever it is, and it just wipes everything out. And other than that, all Apocalypse does is drives you to buy more crazy stuff that you can't use in a normal game. So if you're into it, I mean, do it. But I already have like 5,000 points of Tau. I don't really need to buy more. The only thing that can really improve my army at this point is more of things I already have. More Riptides and more Pathfinders and more Flyers. Other than that, we jump over to Forge World, where I want to get like a Manta or a Remora or a unit of Crisis or Hazard Suits rather. So, other than that, I like bringing 180 Fire Warriors, which is how many I have, and it's hilarious and it's intimidating, but it just takes so long, and they're not exciting because the last turns you just all die, and it's like, well, that was fun. The Warp Flyer Thrower shoots the Flame Template and goes the artillery dice amount and hits what is under it. Yeah, there you go. Because you do your stand and shoot before people charge you, and so if you were charging that Fire Thrower, it would shoot its flamethrower at them where they currently are, and then they would charge. If it hit anybody, it would kill them. If they didn't, then they would still charge anyway. Going off topic, any suggestions for competitive Tyranids? Mini Wargaming just did a big thing on this. Jay and Matt sat down and went through the codex, and both of them have played Tyranids for years, and I would recommend listening to them. But if you want my opinion, 9 Carnifexes. I don't know what else you would bring, but 9 Carnifexes. I don't even know what we'd put on them, but 9 Carnifexes. Because I love Carnifexes. They're amazing. If you can play 2,000 points, 18 Carnifexes. I don't even think you could bring 18, but you should if you can. Yeah, the Unnatural Disasters are a crappy chart in Apocalypse. Yep, they basically make the games dumb. It's just, let's see who can survive. The trick to it is stay in a transport, and then have enough transports that some of them won't die from the explosion, and then just shuffle your guys into other transports, so when the Apocalypse comes down, only your enemy dies instead of you. You can use crazy stuff with escalation. Well, as anyone who has watched my previous shows has seen, escalation is broken for Necron. It just is broken. It's functionally unplayable in any kind of competitive sense. You cannot stop them. They have a 50-50 of winning every game on the first turn, or just most likely winning on the second turn. And that makes it, even if they don't win, they're going to so cripple you and push you back in the game that it's going to be almost impossible for you to come back. And if you do come back, congratulations. Stand and shoot rule dictates that the shots are made if the model is inside the max range of the weapon. No, the stand and shoot is not made if their movement, if they're within their own movement, without, like, essentially if you didn't have to roll the dice to charge them, they would not get to stand and shoot. And there you go. The Warp Flyer template is not a range, it is a template. I have Remoras, they're amazing. There you go. See what I mean? And I also like the Tiger Sharks. They're also awesome looking. Escalation should never have been released. I agree with that, absolutely. But who doesn't want an excuse to bring a Titan or a Stompa? Yeah, it's fun and silly, but it's just not for me, because I'm not a big fan. And see, this is the problem that I have, and Captain Coldleaf just posted it, or at least I just saw it now, or you're going to hear me saying. I saw it immediately. But anyway, Captain Goldteeth, instead of playing Apocalypse, if you want to play a big game, why not use Escalation? It's fun. Sure, it's broken, but hey, it's meant for fun. And it ain't competitive as in 40k ain't meant for balance at all. Yeah, and that makes me less interested in playing 40k. This is why I'm more of, like, you see more War Machine games because one, War Machine's faster to pick up. There's more War Machine players, and it's balanced. It's fun to play because you never lose because of something impossible to deal with. You lose because you make mistakes, or they got a good roll, or they did a plan that you didn't plan for, or they do something. You rarely lose just because you can't counter them, which it does happen. I mean, my continuous fire got directly countered and it kind of mulliganed my whole strategy. But that said, I still had options. There's still things I could have done better in my turns. But unlike 40k, where I go, I'm going to bring a Catan chart with 2 Strength D flamethrowers, run across the board right away because I have the Strength D fly overview thing, and then kill your army in 1 round. Like, that's not even fun. It's just stupid. Or I'm going to bring an Orc infantry army. Oh, well, joke's on you. I brought a Tau Fire Warrior army, so you lose. There's nothing you can do about it. You're going to die, because I can just roll dice and back off, and you will not close the gap. Or, oh, you only brought 1 or 2 Meltas? Well, unfortunately for you, I brought all Land Raiders, and I killed your Meltas right away, so the game is over for you. Doop, doop, doop. Unless Dwarf crafted. No idea. You didn't need the book to allow you to do that. You're just your opponent's permission. Exactly, yeah. Escalation, you didn't... Like, we played games where we brought super heavies. It was fun, being silly. But, yeah. You didn't need the book to allow you, blah, blah, blah. The problem isn't fun for the one who gets rolled off the table. Yeah, and it's not fun if you get rolled. It's fun if you both do exciting things and you go have fun with it. And I agree, I've had a lot of fun playing 40k over the last, 15 years that I've been playing 40k. But it's just so hard to get, because you have to have a player who really wants to have fun with it. Now, I am competitive, and I'm not even going to try and deny that. So I like playing games where I'm going to bring, ultra kill lists. And I'm going to try and find the most efficient way to kill my opponent, which doesn't make it fun for them. And I understand that, and I don't want to do it in a sense, but at the same time, it's just, this is the way I play. This is how I am. So I can't play their game because I want to play it in a competitive fashion. That seems not correct in a game. I don't know, it just seems silly. But to move on for this rant, because I think I have this rant on every one of these shows. Hey Owen, do you need anything other than the starter box to get into War Machine, i.e. a rulebook and a codex equivalence? You don't need a codex. Every time you buy a unit, you come with a card in the box that has all the special rules written on that unit. Now, you may want to get the rulebook because it's very good to have because it is very well written. Other than that, the 2-player starter kit, I'm pretty sure the starter ones, but I'm not 100%, come with a quick start rules that give you the fundamentals of the game. Also, if you have an iPhone or an iPad, there's a free app you can download called War Room. You can purchase the cards for all the armies on there, but even if you don't do that, you can go to the reference on there, and it'll give you an A to Z list, and you can click on all the special rules and a description of how they function in-game, and it's free. So it'll just, if you have any problems that come up about how a rule works, it'll describe it, how to fix it. And then you also have resources like Battle College and Forward Commander that'll help you in building lists and taking a look at what other models do. Now, I'm not saying don't buy the codexes and the rule books. The army books are great for a big background and to really flesh out your army, as well as working as a catalog to see what your other guys can do in your faction. And the rule book does that as well. Doop doop doo. Dwarf crafted equals stand and shoot no matter how close your opponent is. Oh, that's a new rule. I haven't seen the new Dwarf Codex. Rocking Collector. Yeah, I'm getting more into War Machine, hoping to build up a good Legion of Everblight army. Legion is a great faction. They prepare to die a lot, but also prepare to kill a lot, and that's basically how you work. Our guys drop, but they drop enemies. At Kuyan, well, it's true, I meant more at a competitive level. Oh, no Dwarf crafted and no -1 to stand and shoot. I don't know who has it. Dude, Super Heavies do not make a competitive game when Eldar, Revenant Titan, and Catan Shards have walked through armies. Night Titans, while interesting, should have never been made into a codex. That blew my mind that you need to buy a codex for them. because you're selling an $150 or $170 model and then a $50 codex that's like 50 pages long. Ridiculous. It should have been a downloadable PDF released for free. Buy our new crazy expensive individual model and we will tell you how to use it. And that's what should have been done. Make it a little print off and there you go. Or add it in as a free download on anyone who has an iPad or iPhone or Kindle or whatever they else support. Owen, do you suggest a starting box such as Dark Vengeance or a Battle Force for anyone starting a new 40k? What is your advice for starting a new army? If you're going to start a new army in 40k, my advice, honestly, is eBay. If you are going to buy it at a store, the Battle Forces are probably your best bet. Unfortunately, it's just really expensive to get into. So I would argue Battle Force, use it that way, and then go from there. I would look into it quite a bit before you decide on an army, because you're not going to be happy if you have to go back and change your mind later and rebuy models to buy a different faction. And unlike War Machine, each faction in 40k is more or less tailored to a specific type of play, like Tau Shoot, Tyranids Melee, Guard Spam, Space Marines Average. That's how it works. So I would really research it a lot, and then I would go with the Battle Force. That's what I would recommend. Gore, I don't have the Dwarf book on hand, but I'll check it up to make sure. There you go. Tyler, banter battle rep with you and Mini Wargaming Matt. Your views are so opposite that I would love to see you go through a game. Nah. We had good debates at times, and we have different views on a bunch of different things. But, I guess we could. You'd have to ask Matt. I think I'm actually available this week, so I guess I'll send him an email, see if he wants to do a battle report. Yeah. And leave comments on his videos, and I'm sure it'll help him out. And go watch that. The show should be retitled Whining with the Cooler. I know, Chris. I know. I agree. War Room is also on Android. Excellent. War Room's on more things. I approve wholeheartedly. To my understanding, you would shoot as soon as you could hit them. Okay. What would you consider the best Khador army? The hardest Khador army I have to fight against, not best, but hardest that I have trouble with, is 3 Butcher. Iron Fangs, Black Dragons, and Madeline Corbeau, and Alexia. And it's just so hard to deal with because they have so many dudes with high armor that die and come back as risen because of Alexia. You've got Corbeau that makes the command larger, so she's grabbing more corpses faster. Then you have 3 Butcher who can kill anything. Anything. Anything I should look out for purchase, or to purchase for Legion of Everblight? Ravagors are sweet. Shepherds are sweet. Forsaken are sweet. Carnivians are meh. Ravagors are the ones you're going to want to get. Scythians are the ones you're going to want to get. Infantry, you're going to want to get the pot. I can't for the life of me. I think it's called the Spawning Vessel or something like that. Other than that, I don't really know. Then it's just whichever caster you happen to like. A good, easy, if you want to make your friends hate you, killy list is E. Lilith with 3 Ravagors at like 25 points. Or even at higher points. It's just funny. Unless they have immunity to fire, then you're going to fail horribly. But other than that, it's fun. It's annoying. There are counters, but it's annoying. It's so-so, but not great. Awesome model, though. Oh, we're talking about the Archangel. Yeah, the Archangel's amazing. I wanted to get one to use it as a mount for one of my Dark Elves in my Dark Elf army. So my Dreadlord can ride around on a giant dragon, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. It isn't very good in the game, mostly because it suffers from a lot of the problems that all the Gargantuans suffer from. Why it is not a 5 Fury Beast, I don't understand. But, yeah. It's neat with Pythagoras because you can bring it back to life when it dies. That's hilarious. I'm either going to start Orcs or Blood Angels, but I'm not sure if they're going to update those codices. Yeah, Orcs are coming. Blood Angels, probably a little ways still. So if you're going Orcs, I would wait. If you're going Blood Angels, probably might as well. What do you think about the Forge World Hammerhead weapons? I like the plasma cannons. Those were awesome. PLXE is the best. Yes, she is. And she should work for Menoth. It's a good counter to Assault model, not dedicated Assault. Oh, still talking about the Overwatching. Orcs are updated around June. There you go. Both are possibly for an update. You're always safe getting boys. Tough. Try to get the Assault on Black Reach boys out of eBay. Best way to get them cheap and lots of them. Yep, there you go. Gold Thief brings it up. Orcs, you're not going to not get boys if you're going to play orcs, so I guess that's an auto buy anyway, because they're not going to get rid of orc boys. And yeah, the Black Reach is the way to go if you want orc boys, because you get lots. And whenever people were buying the Black Reach sets back when they were coming out, all the orcs were getting eBayed. I mean, my buddy started an orc army through the Black Reach army, and I think he got like 120 orc boys for like $150. So it was nearly $1 a guy, but it was just a gigantic instant, I have an army now. Maybe it was 120 for 100. I know it was like crazy cheap. Tyler, I think you should wait for the new Orcs Codex and decide after new Codex reviews. Oh well, that's another option, of course, as well. I wish they still sold the Black Reach. My brother and best friend just started an Ultramarine army. So what I mean is, you should pick up Orcs. Yeah, basically my schizophrenic view. Wait for the Codex, but if you want to play orcs, you might as well buy boys. I wouldn't buy other things in the Codex because they're all subject to change, but boys are not going to change very much. I think Matt's even said that in one of his videos. If you want to play orcs, don't buy a gigantic orc army, buy the basics. If you want to buy Dark or Blood Angels, you might as well buy whatever you want, because I can't imagine they're going to get an update. They might, but I don't know. Yeah, I actually caught up on the comments. Whew. Getting a head rush, talking so much and so fast. Oh, we're nearly at the end of the show already. Quick, ask questions, comment, do stuff. Ah. I'm looking at the recommended videos, and a lot of them are my own. And one's from Mini Wargaming, because they're the same name. Good old Mini Wargaming. But, yeah, all in all, that's what I would recommend. I guess at the end here, seeing as we're coming to the end and I don't have a comment to answer, Adepticon is next week, and I'm going to be there. So if you live or near Chicago, or are just going to Adepticon, find me. I will be there with Mini Wargaming Dan, or Codex Dan as he goes by now, and most likely Jay from Mini Wargaming, so Mini Wargamer Jay. And me and Jay may even be carpooling, and me and Dan are going to be hanging out all weekend. Or all week, rather. We're going to be there Wednesday to Saturday, or Wednesday to Sunday. So we're going to be there the whole time. Find us. We'll hang out. We're going to be making videos. We're going to be playing games. We're going to just be wandering around the convention. That's what we're going to be doing. So, if you're going to Adepticon, which is April 1st to April 6th, we're going to be there. Doop, doop, doop. What other armies do you play, Owen? Okay, armies that I own and play are Dwarves, though I don't have the new Codex, High Elves, Dark Elves, and then armies that I play in that game that I don't own are Wood Elves, Bretonnians, Vampire Counts, Lizard Men, and that's it, I think. Oh, and Orcs. Moving on to 40k, the armies that I own are just Tau now. I've more or less gotten rid of all my other stuff. But I can play basically any army in 40k. I'm sure Orc Bikers will always be strong. Oh, and then moving on from there, War Machine, I've got a Retribution, Scorn, Signar, and Menoth armies. I also play Crix if I want to, or if I want to. And I think that's it for the games that I play. How about the new X-Wing release? I like the X-Wing game. It's fun. I thought it was silly, and I had fun with it. Thoughts on the other Forge World release, Tau? I used to like the Sensor Tower before they nerfed it. Owen, what's your favorite computer game? My favorite computer game, or the one I've spent the most time playing over the last decade, is Warcraft 3. Frozen Throne. And that's probably it. Bar Drop. When was that? I don't know what you're talking about. What's your opinion on the Khador Stormtroopers? They're fun. They're not super competitive. at least compared to other things in the Khador list, they're very good, but you could totally make a list around them if you wanted, and you would surprise a lot of opponents coming out with a big unit of immunity to stuff and random gunshots and sprays. So I believe you can do it. Figure out a way. I'm sure it exists. I still have sitting in my room. Oh, he has a black reach he's never opened. Oh, that's cool. How heavy are those weights? I don't know. 20 or 40 pounds, something like that. Can't read them from here, and I'm not going to get up. Why is Malice Darkblade no longer in the Dark Elf army list? He was such a cool character in the books. He's not in it? I thought he was in it. Now I'm going to have to check as soon as this is over. Owen, would you play some fantasy with Dan? Maybe doing some bat reps? Well, he lives in Calgary, which is like 5 days drive away, or like a day of flying away. It's basically, to give you an idea, those of you who have like a mental image of the United States, because more of you are from the States, it takes as much time for me to drive from where I live in southern Ontario to leave Ontario as it does to drive from Ontario to Florida. So driving all the way across the United States. So just to go from Ontario around the Great Lakes is the same amount of time as it is to drive across the United States. Once I'm around Ontario, I then have to drive across 2 provinces to get to Calgary. So, moral of the story is, not likely to play a fantasy game, and I don't think either of us are going to be bringing fantasy armies to Adepticon. But I think I will. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. I'm driving. It's about an 8-hour drive, and I'll probably bring a little bit of everything. What's a good starting army for fantasy? I play 40k and want to start moving into fantasy. I like all the fantasy armies. So if you want to play where you don't have a big model, if you want a low model count, Bretonnians. If you want a high model count, Vampire counts. Both of those guys are fun to play, cool looking, interesting fluff. Off they go. Lucky for you, they sell them quite a bit on eBay. What are your thoughts on Warhammer Forge stuff? I assume you're talking about Forge World. It's an interesting option. I like that it exists. I think it's certainly a good thing that GW has there, where they can make these very interesting, different sculpts and allowed to play them in the game. And they all have very cool design to them. But it's very expensive, so it's a very niche kind of product, among a niche product. So that's my opinion of it. I like them. If I had the option, if I went out and I got a scratch ticket and won $20 million, I'd probably buy every Tao's Forge World thing there is. But they're not on my to-do list. Legion or Retribution? Yes. If you're going to ask a question like that, you're getting an answer like that. Ogres are big and tough, not too many models. Yep, ogres are a fun list. They have a couple glaring issues. Most of them are called the Black Pit of Shades and the other one that makes you do an initiative check or die. Both of them are awful. What do you think about Lizardmen? Lizardmen are a definitely good faction. They look cool. They've got some interesting lore. They're very powerful at magic. They've got a very good melee game. And yeah, interesting stuff. I was particularly talking about the fantasy stuff. And that doesn't change my answer to Forge World. Favorite Space Marine chapter? Black Templars. Which is funny, because I hate the Black Templars as an in-game faction, but I love their lore. I really think it's because of the novel Hell's Reach, kind of made me like the Black Templars. And really, in Hell's Reach, I only like Grimaldus, because he's just hilariously, like, he's so far beyond grimdark that it's just gone, like, full circle, and he's just, like, comedic. Like, when he just starts laughing at the one guy being quiet, and, like, when they leave the orc who's, like, bleeding to death, and they're like, no, wait. I want to he's suffering more bleeding to death with us watching him than he would if we were to torture him, so let's just stare at him until he dies. Like, it's so hilariously contrived, and, like, his, like, heavy breathing before he does his speech, he's got, like, a Hitler-esque vibe to him, and it's so funny and ridiculous that I love him. I love it. Don't worry, I'm going to tear you out of that, and I could kill everyone in this room no matter what guns you have, and I'm gigantic, and I've been bleeding and dying, and I'm gonna just scream, and I've figured out why I'm here, and it is to kill people. Whoa! You, sir, are a champion. You are the greatest space marine ever. Why didn't they send the Flesh Terror guy? I think he would have been an amazing guy in Hell's Reach. Just as crazy, but with less of an inclination to try and not kill people. I don't know. Made me laugh. My favorite in-game chapter is probably the White Scars. They're just too good in the new codex. And are there any good Tyranid novels out there? Unfortunately, I don't know. I haven't read a lot yet. Not a lot of the 40k stuff. I've been kind of getting into the fantasy. I know a lot of good Tyranid short stories. There's a couple in a number of different books. Preferably anything where Tyranids fight Imperial Guard. They're usually a good story. Because, yep. We go crazy, we go wah, wah. Yeah. Grimel, this was awesome. What's your favorite in-game chapter? I already went over that. But we have come to the end of the show. It is an hour long. Continue anyone who sees this after this, because it will, of course, be posted on YouTube after this point. Leave any more comments with replies. Oh, crap. I didn't even look at those. To the previous live show where I didn't look at the comments that were left afterwards. Alright, looks like we're not ending the show yet. Because I forgot. No, pause. Pause. Okay, there's only two. A player could make a Deathwing list with nothing but Mega Knobs and Battle Wagons. Except for Mega Knobs don't have invulns, which is a fundamental difference. I'm looking to start a Circle of Orobus army. What would you recommend? I'm new to Warm Hordes and wondering if you would play more games of that. Well, I'm definitely going to play more, and actually a friend of mine is just getting into Circle. So we're going to make a few videos teaching how to play War Machine and Hordes, and you're going to get to see. The thing I would recommend, and that he bought, is the 2-player starter kit. Even if you don't have an opponent to play against, it is just a better deal to buy the 2-player starter kit for one faction than it is to buy the starter kit and another unit to make up for it. Not to mention, in the starter kit, you get everything you want in a Circle army. You get a Warp Wolf, you get Arguses, and you get Warp Wolf skin changers, or skinwalkers, or whatever they're called, which is awesome. Yeah, and that's basically my opinion of that. So, yep, you'll prepare to see more War Machine, and I guess I'm going to look at the gaming with the cooler one and see if that was any. For those of you who aren't aware, on Wednesday nights... noise! Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do a lot of live gaming, and so it's a number of different things ranging from... Well, last week we did Dawn of War. We might do Dawn of War again, but who knows. Hey, and just wanted to let you know about the Dawn of War Elite mod, as well as... or for the Dawn of War 2 Retribution. It's a mod focused on balance between the races, plus it adds some crucial codex units. Ninja, he knows about it. I'm pretty sure he played the mod when he was still working for Mini Wargaming, then complained about how useless the Grey Knight seemed. Well, of course I complained. I complain about everything. I am aware of it, though, and I do play it rather often. I'm actually a bigger fan of the Destroyer mod, not because it's more balanced, but because there's just more dudes in units. And so, like... And the dead bodies stay longer, and so you end up getting these, like, colossal battles, and, like, there's just piles of dead models, and it's funny. Oh, and try L Sword, or L Sword. I did play it, and I got really bored really fast. How old are you, Owen? Yes. And there we go. So, we've actually caught up on those comments, and did it. Wait, when did Chris get here? Chris was here the whole time. What War Machine army would you suggest for someone who's just getting into it? They're all good. So what I would suggest is look into them all. There's a website, Battle College. Google it. And it has basically basic overviews of every model and faction in the game. And you can get an idea for what you'd like. Find one that you think looks cool, because that matters more than the actual gameplay, and one whose lore you like. Gameplay-wise, they all have their own ways of doing things, but any faction can do anything you want. You can bring shooty lists, you can bring a melee list, you can bring denial lists, you can bring heavy lists, you can bring infantry lists. Everybody can do it, so it really comes down to what you like. And I'm going to wrap it up now, because I've gone over time, but I guess it makes up for the fact that we had all those audio issues at the beginning. Could you do a video teaching about War Machine? Yep. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, that is the end of this show. Stay tuned for more. guys, gamers. I need an outro. I need something to say. What do you guys want to be called? Because I want to call you, like, gamers, because that's just basically mini war gamers, only without the gaming, the mini part. Name yourselves. That is your command for next week's show. Vote on it. Up thumb. There you go. So, stay tuned for that. You guys have a good night, and I will see you Wednesday or next week, depending on if you guys show up for the gaming, or if you can. So, see you then. Have a good one. Talk to you later.